Bam, what up, gang? We're live. We have a special thing tonight. Instead of our normal daily news, we're actually going to talk about human nature. But I think that, just to keep it in around politics first, and we'll spread out into more like cultural stuff. But I think, is it human nature to be tribal?
So two things kind of come to mind instantly, right? So first, when you mention like political, I think most often when I hear like, what is human nature? Usually it's like a rebuttal to the whole communist camp, right? Like, oh, communism sounds great on paper, but it can't work because of human nature. Yet no one ever defines human nature. It gives me what those characteristics are supposed to be, right? Which is probably what led us down here to begin with in some sense. But the second thing I think of is, what were humans like kind of originally doing like in this like timeline, like what we now look like, right? Like post Neanderthals, all that jazz. Originally about 100 to 150 people in a tribe, right? In a group. So I think when we're going to talk about tribalism, we have to even ask, like, well, what is tribalism, right? What does that look like? Is that a family? Is that a country? Is that a tribe? Is that humanity as a whole, et cetera, right? Or at least do we have the capacity for that to be the entire tribe, et cetera? So that's kind of where my mind went.
Mm-hmm. I thought of football teams.
Yeah, that's what I thought of too. I thought of sports. I was like, tribalism definitely exists in human nature, because look at just how we are with sport teams. Like, and it's just because like we geographically happen to be close to them. No other reason to affiliate ourselves with them other than that.
Yeah, sports is a good reference too.
It's a natural tendency, I think. Try to break
in-group,
into small groups.
In-group, out-group bias. There's always some in-group, out-group bias. And because humans can make value judgments, we're going to draw lines somewhere, and we're going to pick and choose who we put on what side of that line. The question is, how do we draw those lines and why? Probably.
Right.
So.
Well, and like, wouldn't like a congregation, wouldn't that be an example of tribalism as well?
I'd argue any type of situation where someone values some kind of group over a different kind of group, be it their family, be it, Texans, be it Americans, be it subcultures with like, vegans, et cetera. Like, it doesn't really matter what it is. If you value some group over another to the point where like you're starting to place them above others, that's probably some toxic tribalism. I don't think tribalism is inherently bad, right? We're like a kind of a collective species in one sense, right? So there's like this weird mix between individualism and tribalism, ego, human nature, etc.
Yeah, I think tribalism is definitely a part of human nature. I think who we care about in our tribe is kind of like a circle, and the goal is to advance the borders of that circle out further and further until you can basically encompass the whole world. And right now, everybody's just staying within their little tiny circles.
We have to be, because our young come into this world needing protection, needing someone to fend for them. And that right there means you're going to place resources towards that end over some other end, which means you're making a value judgment. This life matters more than some other life.
It's supported in the fossil record even.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a skull of Homo ergaster, which is 1.4 million years old, but he has no teeth. And they know that his tribe was watching out for him, was feeding him, even though he couldn't contribute. There was human compassion from a near-like species 1.4 million years ago. Actual, for lack of all better words, actual morals and actual morality of sorts is already there.
Well, and I think it's an evolutionary advantage. I always go back to evolution. These things have all evolved because in-group, out-group. Humans, we are very soft, gooey, squishy, edible fucking primates. Let's be real. We're not fast. We're not strong. We're advanced tool makers, and we had language that helps us pass down knowledge generation to generation. The only thing about us that is the second nature is the ability to hold your breath and swim when you're a baby, which I goes back to think that supports the aquatic ape theory personally. Naturally, evolutionary wise, we have to be, because we had to survive in numbers. You had to have lookouts. You had to have perimeters and stuff like that to protect yourself, camouflage, all that stuff.
There's so many other species that do that as well. Prairie dogs, monkeys, chimpanzees.
Absolutely. So so go ahead, Shai.
Oh, I was just going to say, I keep fixating on something Ron said, and he was like, the skeleton didn't have any teeth, so that you could tell it wasn't the person wasn't contributing. You mean like
Well,
in traditional labor, with traditional labor?
Right, exactly. Yeah, he may have been contributing in many other ways. Maybe he was watching the kids. Maybe he was, who knows? But the point is that we had humans that were softening his food for him and keeping him fed for a purpose.
Like they valued his existence.
Exactly.
Yeah, which they wouldn't do unless his existence contributed in some positivity to the tribe.
It wasn't survival of the fittest, even from the beginning. As soon as you form a tribe, you don't do survival of the fittest. You all protect each other, powers in numbers. If you have a group of 100 and you say survival of the fittest, all you slow fuckers, you're dead, haha. But they have other skill sets that contribute in a different ways, like maybe passing down knowledge about how to fashion shoes so you don't cut your feet, or medicinal things, know more about the berries and the foods that are poisonous. All these things about absolute survival, like where the fuck does water come from? How do we find some more?
And that can be rooted in genetics, in that, if you're living like we used to in tribes of like Matt was saying, a maximum of 100, 150 individuals, the odds are that if you're talking to somebody in your tribe, they're somehow related to you, at least distant. So you share a good amount of your genes with those people. Mm-hmm. And so you may be being altruistic, but your genes are telling you here, share, because you're not just assisting yourself, you're assisting some other genes into the next generation, even if they're not your own. They're a copy of the same ones that are in you and somebody else.
Mm-hmm. It's an extension of a family,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like you said, in nature, if you just go back to just chimpanzees today, they're just now, entering the Stone Age. They're making tools now. Mm-hmm. They're showing us our past, because we have more genetic. We have more in common with a chimpanzee than a chimpanzee has with an orangutan. Think about that. They're that close to us. They're showing us how we became Stone Age, and then they'll show us how we continue to evolve. We won't, evolution takes a long time.
Yep, they're tribal. They're murderous.
Yeah, they're very tribal. Yeah,
murderous
in good and bad ways.
They're omnivores, just like we are. Their teeth are developed in such a way, just like ours are. Their brains are developing, and now you have actually primates that are swimming and foraging underwater, up in the elevations of I think it's in China, the Himalayas, I believe. They have first time they recorded them actually hunting underwater for food, and just staying in the water all damn day to stay warm. So they have like an aquatic coexistence
very
in the hot springs.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, how close are we to bonobos?
They're the second closest.
Second closest, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then you have
bonobos would be cooler to be closely related to, because they just base everything on sex.
Yep. Hi, goodbye, thank you, no thank you, I'm sorry. It's all about sex.
Right.
Yep.
What are we talking about? What? I'm just
all of a sudden I hear my voice.
He heard sex and he's perked up.
He's like,